Now getting into FOMC, got to kind of go down to the 1 minute for this. What we have is, so generally speaking, the rate announcement itself, you'll get that initial move. The best action is usually going to come once Powell starts speaking. And that was the case today as well. So you get the rate announcement. Most of that is already expected, already priced in. You won't really see a major move there. In this case, price did lift off of VWAP. Now, these scenario, like this initial push off of VWAP, definitely should not be in that trade. That more or less suggests that you're holding through the actual 2 p.m. announcement, which to me is gambling. So careful with that. But once price actually comes and retests, now in this case, you're gonna have a hard time getting involved here at VWAP unless you're watching like micro time frames, like maybe a 30-second. Right? How else are you going to get involved here? Unless you're just blindly buying VWAP without any confirmation. I don't trade that way. I always need some type of confirmation, which sometimes drilling down onto those lower time frame charts can be helpful. Now, there is, of course, a little more risk involved with this approach simply because you need to really be able to keep your bearings when you're on a chart this low, right? This small. So make sure you have your levels on your chart, but really some of the easier plays come later into the afternoon. So let the rate announcement, the algos do their thing, if you will, right? Let them kind of burn the options premium off, because I saw some data today that said there was the largest move in 11 months being priced in today. And that is not what we saw. So that options premium just got absolutely cooked. So let all that kind of burn. You can kind of watch how action responds to the levels that you have. In this case, we have 50-50. We have VWAP right through here. We have price coming. Is that a true session high? Yeah, it is. Right. So like I said, back here, once price is actually doing something significant, like making a fresh session high, then we could start to look for VWAP. That's when VWAP becomes more interesting. That's exactly what we saw. So it makes a session high, rolls over, you get the retest into VWAP here. This is kind of annoying to sit through, right? It's just that drift, but doesn't prove you incorrect. And you could catch that push back into the high, or potentially this upside level of interest, 580. Now you get another pullback, right? Another phenomenal entry. And then even this one, harder to get involved with, but even better because it positions you for that follow through. Now, once those trades are done, at least for me personally, it's very tough to be getting involved with any additional long setup much higher. Now, one way you can actually go about doing it, as always, is use a fib retracement. Oops. So what you can do is find your session low right through here. And then in this case, once the bull move, once the buying is actually underway, looking for a local high, ideally on that 1 or 2 minute, right? And then a pullback. In this case, the shallow fib holds. And my favorite, we have a level of interest right there. So 5,100 aligns with the shallow fib. You got your signal bar. Look at this. Phenomenal. And then the way to go about this is, as always, lean on the signal bar, you're long, and then take some off into that session high. And ideally, you can hold some for up into 5,120. That was the last decent long of the session, in my opinion. Now, once this area, this structure starts to build out, it was pretty clear on the 5 minute in NQ. ES is similar. We have this kind of overshoot of 5,120. Remember, we knew that was that key area. And then it gives you a shooting star. I posted in the chat that 5 minutes telling me everything I need to know. It's telling me this candle alone right here where my cursor is telling me that the move is exhausted. It's done. It's done. So we need some type of more significant pullback. This candle right here, again, exhaustion. Do not want to be chasing any type of structural longs after you see this candle. There will be scenarios where, yes, price will trade higher, but from a probability perspective, This is a low probability trade. So once you see this, you can actually start to think short, right? Try and catch that mean reversion play. That's not my trade. You won't find me in that trade, but from a trading perspective, that is a valid trade. We have our level, we have our higher time frame signal on the 5 minute right there. Next thing, all you need is an entry. Now, I'm always partial to market structure, so I'll let that high develop, which was right here. Then I want to see some type of lower high with some type of signal. So I really like this action through here for a short. Right, we're just going for 5,100. You have another one right through here, phenomenal. And remember, structure is now showing lower highs after we see that 5 minute shooting star exhaustion bar, right? So this is why it's important to pay attention to those higher time frame candles, those higher time frame setups. Because if you're just looking at this, you may miss that important piece of information. So some good short opportunities. Now, I was not expecting a full retrace of that move. If I was in these, I probably just would have been scalping into 5,100. I say scalping, that's a 20-point move in ES, which is huge. But if you're positioned well, you can capture more of this downside. So despite the volatility, the index continues and always will trade incredibly technically. The main thing that you need is, number one, your bearings. So just got to have your levels on the chart, right? You got to be watching, knowing where price is in location in reference to the higher time frame structure. In this case, big picture range, 5120, prior breakout point, right? Or coming from 5050, we have downside reference point as well as the value area low for the current structure that is in play. So those are some of the easier trades on ES.